Hi, everyone. Welcome to Leadership in the Age of Aquarius. My name is Bridget Aileen Cisco. I'll introduce myself in just a moment, but I just want to thank you so much for being here and taking some time out of your day to focus on a topic that I believe is really important. We are talking about leadership. We are talking about how we want to show up in the world. We are talking about how we want to lead and ultimately lead others. So maybe you're an entrepreneur, maybe you're a creative, maybe you're a visionary, maybe you're a thought leader. And this is really going to be a time for you today to ask yourself some questions. Now, you're going to notice that this recording is not too long, and that is done on purpose because, as we'll get to in just a couple of minutes, the Age of Aquarius is a time where there is unlimited information, and you probably have already heard some of this. This is really a time for you to ask yourself the questions, for no one to tell you how you should be leading or how you should be showing up. It is about you and coming to a space within yourself where you start to understand who you are and what you're meant to do in the world. So let's jump in. This is a little bit about me. So my name is Bridget Aileen Cisco. I'm the founder of Exalted Publishing House. I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher, and this is really the perspective where I started to learn about what the Age of Aquarius is and how it impacts everything that we do on this earth. I am a podcast host. My show is called The Gathering Movement. It is all about gathering the minds to riff on topics like Kundalini, like the Age of Aquarius, like leadership, entrepreneurship, a lot of just incredible things that light my heart up, to be very honest. And I also work as a visibility coach for female leaders in the Aquarian age. The big mission of everything that I'm doing here is amplifying voices, sharing powerful stories, and ushering in this rise of female leaders. Leaders who lead from their heart, they are showing up in service, and they want to make a lot of money. It's a good time to be a leader. So let's talk about what our focus is going to be for today. And at the end of the day, this is not the end-all, be-all. There are more topics and more conversations we could have about this. But I want to remind you all, this is about you embodying what resonates for you and leaving the rest. So we're going to talk about what is the Age of Aquarius. Maybe you've heard this term. You're like, what is she talking about? We're going to talk about how leadership is changing. And you can probably already feel this. And I guarantee if you're listening to this right now, you can absolutely already feel this. You know things are shifting. You know the way that you are being called to show up is shifting. We're going to ask ourselves, well, what is our role as a leader in this big shift? You'll ask yourself, who are you being called to be and show up as? And ultimately, what is your truth? Because at the end of the day, this is about you coming to terms with you, not anyone else saying you need to do this or you should be doing that, right? Many of us want to run away from those things in the first place. And anytime that we sit to receive information like this, I truly believe that seeds are being planted and doorways are opening. And you simply get to choose if you're ready to walk through and you're ready to make that first step. At the end of the day, this is the type of information that I feel that every leader needs to know, to be able to understand and zoom out of this paradigm shift that we are experiencing right now on the planet. You're probably feeling some of these things already. So to have some grounded kind of foundational information to then guide your next choices as a leader, I believe are so important. And I'm so glad that you're here. All right, so let's just go over some of the basics here. Now, I'm going to say this for a moment that other people could probably explain this better than I could. I am not an astrologer. I am not an astronomer. But here's what I do know is that this is a time in history, and we'll go into what this time in history is, where things have shifted, right? Many people believe that we moved into this time around 2011, 2012. And the idea is that every 2,000 years or so, the Earth rotates on its axis and shifts through one of the 12 astrological signs. So You might be familiar with you as a Leo, or you as a Cancer, or you as an Aquarius. This is beyond just the individual birth chart. These are cosmic shifts that actually impact and affect every single person on this planet. So we start with the sign of Aries. We are now moving out of the sign of Pisces and into this age of Aquarius. So again, this can be felt by everyone. And I guarantee as I start to go further into this, you're going to say, oh, wow, I can see this happening in the world. I can see this happening in the news. I can see this happening in the way people perceive work and the way people want to start a business. You'll notice this right away. So here's a little overview of these shifts further explained. I want to give us a understanding of this age of Pisces first, right? This is very familiar, and it might be very, very comfortable for all of us, because many of us were born in the time where this was the norm. Many of our parents, our grandparents saw this as the norm. And maybe you're the leader who's the only one in your family who's starting to feel these shifts. You know, you don't want to work a corporate job. You want to grow a business that looks very different. You want to spend your time doing many other things versus just being on the computer all day. So the age of Pisces was really ruled by a couple of fundamental themes: hierarchy, power. And this can be seen in many structures throughout civilization, like religion, like these political and government kind of godheads. You can even see this in the ways that businesses were structured. This was much more of this top-down approach to leadership, where someone above you ruled your life, and you chose to listen to their truth as your truth, where the leaders of this time had all the answers, right? Think about through civilization, through history, and the influence of religion specifically, where you had the priest, or maybe even above the priest, you had a bishop, or you had the pope who guided what and how you should be living your life. This is a time where someone above you told you how to live. And you trusted that. You believed that. And of course, there's a light and dark to all of this. There's a shadow and there's beauty to the age of Pisces, right? We had the Industrial Revolution. We started to advance technologically. A lot of shifts and beautiful things happened during this time from this approach. But what we're moving into now is feeling this resistance to, no, you can't tell me that this is the way to live my life. And in the age of Pisces, the keys to life and how to live were hidden away from the people, right? This was only accessible by maybe the religious godheads or political and government figures, not for the lay people, not for people like you and me, because we didn't have the power. And even as I say that, you can probably feel what's been happening in your own life, right? You started to take care of yourself. You started to acknowledge the food you put in your body. You started to acknowledge the types of books or information or relationships that you allow into your life. And you started to feel this sense of empowerment. And that's the shift that we're going through. We're kind of letting go of this old paradigm that said someone above you rules you. And this is so exciting, right? You can see this. You probably feel this. And now let's look at the age of Aquarius. This is a time of unlimited information. Think about the rise of technology and the internet. We can go on Google, we can go on DuckDuckGo, and we can look up anything. There's a YouTube video for it. There's probably a book for it, right? There's a library we can go and read. We can go and learn. So information is actually accessible to all during this time. And you can feel that, you know this. But what happens when information is accessible to all? We go one step further and we start to ask ourselves, well, what is the importance of this information for and to me? In the age of Aquarius, we have much more of this horizontal structure, right? So you can think of the age of Pisces as this vertical kind of top-down approach, where the age of Aquarius is all about community. It's all about collaboration. It's all about these horizontal structures of, hey, I'm not better than you. You know, you can do it your way and I can do it my way. And that is beautiful. It is also the acceptance of all of you getting to know yourself on a deeper level and really embracing maybe the parts of yourself that you were once told you couldn't allow to be free, right? Maybe that wild child within you, or maybe it's this yearning to be an entrepreneur and start a business, but people told you you can't do that. Or people told you, it wasn't okay to use your voice. And ultimately, this is a time of self-sovereignty and self-initiation. And this is where I just get so excited for everyone, because it's a time where we get to start to listen to ourselves and our intuition and our heart and these subtle messages that we've been receiving, and maybe the parts of ourselves that we have not allowed to look at. It's a time where we are the leader of our own life. We hold the keys to our advancement in the world. No one is here to save us, right? So in the age of Pisces, we kind of let go of this savior complex. And in the age of Aquarius, we get to be the leader of our life. We get to be our own teacher. And a caveat to this is it's not to say that you're not going to have incredible teachers on your journey. I have incredible teachers. But the difference I notice is the teachers I pick during this time of my life are ones that empower me to live my life and to lead my life in the way that I want to lead it, not in the way that they say I should be leading it. And ultimately, we hold the keys because there's information everywhere, and we start to just ask ourselves some questions. So as I said before, this is not a workshop or a masterclass where you're just listening to me tell you how you should lead. You can see that that's very Piscean. This is actually a workshop that's simply opening a doorway for you to understand some fundamental ideologies of the time, which is about you and you holding the keys to your destiny. So everything that I'm saying here, I want you to be taking notes. I want you to be writing things down, because I sense that things are just going to be clicking for you as we're going. And in the next slide, we're going to look at how this impacts you as a leader. So as a leader, this is really the time of the importance of knowing your truth. And I guarantee if you're in this space and you're listening to this, this is something that you've probably spent time with. You've probably done a lot of the inner work. You've probably read books. You've probably gone to yoga classes, maybe gone to women's circles. You have a meditation practice. And you've spent some time already understanding what is my truth. And the big word I use to describe these times in terms of leadership is this word discernment. Who am I? What is right and true for me? And remembering that there are so many avenues on how to run your business, or how to engage with clients, or what kind of job you should be working, or how much time you should spend working. But at the end of the day, it comes back to you making those choices for yourself. And when you have this sense of self-sovereignty, you know who you are without a shadow of a doubt. Well, number one, that's extremely magnetic, and that's not what we're talking about today. But magnetism rises, right? You have this deep, deep sense of self. You have this deep trust within yourself, and people can feel that. We can feel that on a conscious, but also a subconscious level. So when you have this knowingness within yourself and you understand the age of Aquarius and you have a community in front of you, it is an opportunity for you to invite your community to discover themselves. So the question is, how are you empowering your people? How are you sharing information and giving them knowledge, but also reminding them that it's about their embodiment of this truth and their choices and their way of living and their truth? And the way I like to see myself as a leader in the age of Aquarius is literally as this clear vessel for messages. My big message is literally using your voice. and sharing powerful stories through you as this conduit, this connection to God and source and the creator. And you get to do the same thing. So you probably, as a leader, say you're an entrepreneur, you probably have content that you share in your business. Maybe it's about how to work with the womb, or maybe it's about rituals and self-care. And it's not to say that you're guiding your community to say, this is the only way. You're guiding them to say, here's an option, here's an avenue. You choose what you choose. In the Age of Aquarius, we talked about this briefly before, but there is this importance on community, collaboration, and relationships. And this is so exciting because I think back to business models, like a SWOT analysis, right? So in a SWOT analysis, it's strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And threats are like other people who are doing something similar. And I think that's just a lie. In the Age of Aquarius, if we look at these fundamentals, if we look at these ideals, we have the opportunity to let go of competition. Because if you understand that each person is unique in their own way, even if they're also a health coach, even if there are a bunch of women who work with the menstrual cycle, even if there are a bunch of business or life coaches out there, each person has a unique way of doing everything that they do. So with that being said, competition just isn't the same way that we've seen it to be. And you've probably seen more of these collaborative projects coming out in the world, maybe on Instagram or on Facebook. And one of my biggest offerings in my product and program suite is multi-author books, right? Where we each write a chapter. And you're seeing this happen more and more. Maybe also programs that bring in other experts. And it's not seen as, I'm going to take away your clients. It's seen as, let's do this together because together we rise. Teamwork brings the dream work. And ultimately, this is an age of new ways of doing, being, living, and experiencing. And within that, there are some growing pains because we say to ourselves, well, what are we doing? We've never done this before. And this is the invitation, right? To lean into that. What are you being called to do? How are you being called to show up and lead? How would it feel really, really good for you to lead your life? How would it feel really, really good for you to lead your business? How do you want to spend your time? And the last part of this is heart-centered leadership. And I'm sure if you're listening to this, this is something that you resonate with deeply, where your mission is very impact driven. I always say we're typically not working with like the McDonald's of the world anymore. The women that I work with are healers, they're mystics, they're yogis, they're coaches and consultants who want to bring these self-care and even ancient practices to the mainstream. We have an impact to make beyond just making money. But in the Age of Aquarius, we also get to make money for our craft. We also get to support ourselves. We get to make money to create more abundance, to create more beauty, to create more of our business, to employ people, to build, to support ourselves and our families, and most importantly, missions and other companies and corporations that have similar ideals. And this is a really incredible time for you as a leader to think about what happens when you make money. Where do you want to put your money, right? If the Age of Aquarius is about service, collaboration, community, truth, you can tell that the old models of just making money to make money are falling away. And we realize that the people who have made money just to make money, and then they have 7 houses, 2 private islands, but they're unhappy with their life, we start to see there's a disconnect. And we ask ourselves, what is the purpose of money? What am I here to create and build with the money I make? What am I going to invest in with the money I make? That's a fun game to play. You know, when I see another $20,000 in my bank account, what am I going to do with that money? Am I going to donate it to a charitable organization? Am I going to join a CSA? What are you going to do with the money? Last but not least is our invitation. We're asking ourselves about discernment. What is right and true for me? How do I want to spend my time? And remember, in the Age of Aquarius, it's not about following someone else's method that you've read about or you've learned about. It's about following your own methodology. So how do you want to spend your time as a leader? Do you want to spend a lot of time in nature every day? Do you want to spend time with clients on phone calls where you're just laughing the whole time? What do you want to consume? And I think of this in terms of the food that you put into your body, the relationships and conversations that you have, the TV, the media, the podcasts, the books. What do you want to consume? Because remember, there's endless information and ways that you could consume these days. Who do I want to spend my moments with? Who? The people that uplift you, the people that when you leave their presence, you're like, oh my God, this person's amazing. I love them. And what are you building in your life? Because anything is possible for you. You have access to all knowledge. You have access to all information. What are you building? And if you're listening to this, how are you being called to go first? How are you being called to go first? And these are the questions I want you all to answer. I told you in the beginning that this wasn't going to be an hour-long lecture of me telling you what to do. This is an invitation for you to ask yourself, how do I want to show up? How do I want to lead? What is important to me? What are my values? How do I want to build community? And how do I want to enjoy my life and my existence on this planet? There will also be these journal questions for you. And this is your little homework. It's taking some time to answer these questions for yourself. I invite you, if you're using social media for your business or you have an email list, share this with them. Because people buy into your vision. They buy into your why. They don't just buy into what it is anymore. They want to know you and your approach and how you simply invite them to find their own. And these are exciting times that we are living in. So I just want to say thank you all so much for being here. Again, I'm Bridget. I focus on all things visibility, like publishing, speaking, podcasts, networking events. I host a women's leadership mastermind. And my ultimate invitation for you all today is to find your own way, to find your own path, and find the people who are willing to do that with you. Because there are so many people out there in this incredible time, in the Age of Aquarius, the time and rise of female leadership. You get to pave your own way. Thank you, thank you, thank you.